Okay. Is working good? Hi there, this is Jorge Vigara, and today I'm gonna share with you which are my 10 tips in order to apply and to land a job in the animation industry. These are very curious times, and besides all that, luckily for many of us, the remote work system has basically exploded. It's everywhere. So since this is a very classic question that people ask me many times, like how to apply, how can I get a job and such, I've decided to do this video. So remember that these are my opinions, okay? This is not meant to be like the universal truth of how to do this. So just in case you need some recommendations and such, here it goes. Tip number 1 is about making the reel clear and right into the point. We could spend hours, and there's like a lot of blogs and videos done all over the years, but that's not the point. What I want to do here is to do like a very quick video tips that you can just go and prepare everything that you have without really, getting lost in all the process of the reel itself. To start making your demo reel that is clear, goes into the point, my recommendation is you start with some intro image that basically says your name, that you are a character animator, and the email contact info. And this intro image can last for just 2 or 3 seconds. And if you want to go into adding some kind of background music for the intro and also for the rest of your reel, my recommendation for you is that you use some kind of music that is easy and pleasant to listen, meaning go for some jazz, go for maybe for some classic if you like, or some blues, or some folk. Please do not go for any rock, please do not go for any trap music, because that won't work. The second tip I have for you is on reel as well, and is to assume that whoever is watching your reel doesn't have a lot of time, meaning first impressions are key. So make sure that of all the shots that you're gonna be showcasing in your demo reel, the very first shot is the one that is the strongest and is the one that represents you better in terms of personality of animation, style, the skill set, and such. Third tip is also about demo reel, and my recommendation is try to keep your reel short. For example, my most successful reel that I ever had was 45 seconds. So just make sure you pick your best 4, 5, or even 6 shots in order to create a reel, and that will do. If you don't really know how to pick those shots, I always recommend to create first like a rough cut that you can just put it somewhere under a password so it's not public, and start sharing that rough cut with your colleagues or friends, or if you have a mentor, share with him or with her, and ask them to help you to know which are those strongest shots that can help you better. Or another way to see it is to ask all these people to help you to see which shots are not helping you in order to land a job. So once that you have a selection of these 4, 5, or 6 shots as much, making sure that the very first one is the one that is your strongest, just create a final cut, and that's it. Tip number 4 about application for a job in the animation industry is to make it easy for you, and is to make it easy for whoever is watching your reel. My recommendation is to please host your reel in Vimeo. There's different options, different ways to do it. You could just link people in your website, of course, and even in your channel or in your vlog, but that diversity really is not helping. So for the sake of simplicity, for the sake of helping you, for the sake of helping them, just host it on Vimeo. You can do it also password protected if you need that, of course. Make sure that you also send the password, but the only thing that you need is just to put it in Vimeo, keep that link of your reel around, and that's the only thing that you need to send when you are applying for a job. Tip number 5, again, making it very easy for you and for whoever is watching at your application, is to make your resume or your curriculum in LinkedIn. If you really want to work in the animation industry, the best way to show your work experience, the best way to show your studies, your hours, even your thoughts and things that you've shared that are related to let's say the craft itself, is to have a LinkedIn profile that you can use as a way to apply for a job. My tip number 6 for you is make sure that you create a cover letter or an application text that is clear and direct. Again, this is just for the sake of making it easy for you, making it easy for them, trying to not overdo it. Just 3-4 lines of yourself will do. So in order to create a very good cover letter or application text, I recommend you to go to your computer or to your device and have any kind of text editor where you can just type it and have it ready to copy and paste, because the goal is that you use that text a lot and you send it. So have that, let's say, that template of your cover letter or your application text ready, and you can have, or you can leave a couple of, let's say, blank spots that you can use for later in order to customize to whoever you're sending. So for example, if you're sending an application to Disney, make sure that when you say, hey, I'd like to apply for a job for like blank there, you can then change it for Disney Animation. Or if you're sending to somewhere else, you can send it for Tippett Studios or ILM or Brown Studios, whatever. You can also add like a small personal touch or comment that helps, let's say, to whoever is reading your application to understand your enthusiasm. So for example, if you're applying to Disney, let's say, you can say something like, I love to be part of the studio that made the movies that I grew up with. Why not? What's important is that you are genuine, that you really mean it. Don't overdo it. Don't go beyond the line and say, it's amazing, you have to do that, if you don't really mean it, okay? If it's just a studio that you feel okay about applying, just say, hey, I like your work and I like to be part of your studio, and that's it. Then again, no more than 3 or 4 lines will do. And right at the end, in order to finish your application text or your cover letter, just finish with the links to first to buy meal with your password if you have a password, and then a link to your LinkedIn profile, and that will do. The tip number 7 I have for you in order to apply for a job in the animation industry is to create a list of all the studios that you want to apply before the actual applying. Just get a document, a Word document or a Google email draft document, whatever, type in all the studios that you like to apply for. Once that you have the list of all the studios that you like to apply, there is 2 systems that I recommend you for applying for a job. One is just sending an email to all of those animation studios or companies that you like to apply. For those who doesn't have like an email, sometimes they have an integrated system for just applying a job. So let's say that emailing or using their job application system goes by hand. And the other system that you can use is the platform of LinkedIn. If you're applying through email, or if you're applying, let's say, using their integrated website system that the studio may have, let's say that you don't really know who is receiving your emails and such, so there's no more that you can do. You just do it, you send it, you cross the fingers, and you hope that somebody will read it and give you some attention back. But if you are using the LinkedIn, it's a little bit different, so your mindset has to change a little bit because you have to pay attention and be wise about who you are contacting to and how to approach them. There is 2 groups of, let's say, positions that I recommend you to send an invitation to connect by LinkedIn. It's important that you remember to not use the invitation to connect itself as an application for a job. You can just go simply and use the standard system that LinkedIn has in order to connect, or you can personalize a little bit saying, hey, I'd like you to be part of my connection network. Thank you very much. And that will do. So don't use that invitation to connect through LinkedIn as the opportunity to apply for any kind of job. These two groups that I'm talking about in LinkedIn, I think it's important that you consider and you work with them differently. First group is HR or human resources people, artist managers or recruiters. And the second group are all animation supervisors, animation directors, or animation leads. Or when you work out through the list of the companies that you want to work on, I recommend you that you spend some time really looking for to connect with each of these positions that I'm telling you about, but approach them differently. So now that you know which are the different ways that you can apply for a job in the animation industry, tip number 8 is about the actual application of the job. If you are using the integrated system in the website of the studio itself, it's easy peasy. Just follow the steps, upload everything whatever they ask you to upload. But always remember to keep it simple, don't overdo it, and go straight to the point. If they ask you for, let's say, upload a PDF of your curriculum, since you are in LinkedIn, there is an option in LinkedIn where you can just go and click and download your LinkedIn profile as a resume. If instead of using the integrated system of the website of the studio, you are sending email to whatever the recruiters or HR system is, just copy your cover letter or your text for application, paste it, remember to personalize it just a tiny little bit, don't overdo it too much, and send it along with everything that you have in it, which is your reel as a link to Vimeo with a password. If you have a password there, don't forget that, and the link to your resume in LinkedIn or your LinkedIn profile. I'm making the tip number 9 very specific about applying through LinkedIn because this is a big thing, and I've seen that there is a lot of people with questions about it. I've seen a lot of people making it, I wouldn't say wrong, but making it in a way that doesn't help them and doesn't help the people who is receiving the application itself. So that's why tip number 9 is about applying for a job through LinkedIn. So let's say that you already have sent all the invitations to connections through LinkedIn to all these, let's say, profiles that I already mentioned to you about. We were talking about the HR people or the human resources, the artist managers, the recruiters, which is the very first group, and then the other group we were saying that were animation supervisors, animation directors, and leads. And you're starting to get some of those applications accepted. Don't expect to everybody to accept your invitations to connect. So just work with what you have. Now, the very first group profiles that we were talking about, the HR people, the recruiters, and the artist managers, if they have accepted your invitation to connect, right after that, feel free to send them your cover letter or your text of application with all the information on it. You don't need to do anything else. You are done. But for the second group that we were talking about, where we would have animation directors, supervisors, or leads, do not do that. My recommendations about how to approach those profiles is always to send a very quick, humble, and simple line asking them for permission to just share your job. Sure, you're not going to use your cover letter text here. The only thing that you're going to do is to send them questions saying, hey, thank you for connection. Is that okay if I send you my work? I'm looking for some opportunity to join your animation studio. Thanks, bye. Simple as that. If some of these guys answer you saying yes, go ahead, I would say just simply copy and paste your Vimeo. You don't need to do anything else. And then you can just add like a personal note saying thank you, I hope you like it, bye. So now that you have applied and now that you have sent it through all the different ways to all the different, let's say, profiles, and you've been like sending emails and applications through LinkedIn, my very last tip, the tip number 10, is probably the most important one, which is the 2-week check-ins. And this is a big thing. Lots of professionals that have lots of years of experience doubt about it or hesitate about it. And people that is starting in the industry, they do not know how to do it correctly. So more or less, very simply put, a check-in is a reconnection with those profiles or with those persons that answer to you, to your application. Do not do check-ins to those who, let's say, have ignored you or that you never heard back from. So this is just for those who there is already some door of communication open. And you can do this through email, you can do this through LinkedIn, and you can do it as often as you like. Even I say 2 weeks check-ins because it's the general rule that I had myself and worked out pretty well. But if you'd rather go in 2 months, it can be 2 months. So, but do check-ins often. You have to remember that the industry moves very fast. A show that today is canceled, tomorrow can be green-lighted, needing up to 200 people. So the more often you do check in, the better it's going to be for you, and the faster it's going to give you some results. But you have to mind the profiles of the kind of people that you are doing this check-in with. So HR people, artist managers, and recruiters, you have to remember that part of the job is to actually bring people in to, let's say, depending on the studios and the different philosophies on the studios, you're gonna see that these profiles, they usually have a look, or they usually try to take care of the people inside the studio, but also outside the studio, meaning they are constantly in the lookout for new profiles and for new talents to bring in. So usually these profiles, they always welcome any kind of check-in, even if it's every 2 weeks. You're gonna see how nobody's gonna complain about it. But animation supervisors, animation directors, and leads, do not do check-ins with them, okay? Straight. Unless you have, let's say, unless having introduced yourself and after asking the question that you wanted to share something with them, if you went naturally into some kind of conversation and you see that you have, let's say, like a good and natural conversation going on in the platform or by email, then of course go ahead and maybe you can taste the waters, but don't do it often, just a little bit. So that's why, again, it's important that you differentiate and you are smart about how to approach the different profiles and the people you are talking to, and what to say when you are doing sending any check-in. Very simple. You just say, hey, just checking if there is any available positions for 3D animators. I'm still available and looking. Thanks. So the 2 weeks check-ins is a very good recommendation that I have for you if you are actively looking for a job, if there is something that you need now because you need the money or for whoever personal reasons. But let's say that if you're in a hurry and you are proactively seeking your job or seeking to expand your career, do it every 2 weeks. I also recommend that overall in the first few years working in the industry to keep doing some kind of check-ins every 2-3 months, just to make sure that you always keep the conversations going on with the different studios that you like, because you never know. Overall, if you are not happy in the studio that you're working with, if you are having some issues in the studio where you are at, or if you see that the show that you are working with is starting to come into an end and there is no clarity if they're going to keep you or not, which is very common, or if you know that you just have like a temporary contract that goes for the next 6 months or for the next year, it's always a very good idea to jump into those jobs. Always keeping a conversation with with other studios, so you can, let's say, jump into the next gig as soon as you want. And that's it. This is all the tips that I have for you in order to land a job in the animation industry. I hope that it helped you somehow. Good luck, and see you around.